Hello. How do you like my little tuft of hair poking out of my hat? Look a little wild today, but we're going to get into the Real Housewives of Orange County, season 19, episode 4. Let's jump right in. The episode opens up at Heather's birthday party, and Katie and Shannon are reeling from their interaction with each other. If you remember from the end of last episode, they sat down together at Heather's party to talk about their issues, and it did not go very well. Shannon ended up kind of screaming at Katie and then walking off. So that's how the episode opened up. Of course, Katie does not take accountability for anything that she did for Shannon. If you remember, she recorded her and then showed it to Alexis. So she leaves the party with her husband. So then we cut to Tamra in the car with Joe De La Rosa, who is a previous cast member. She was actually one of the original cast members on season 1 and season 2. I loved her. Those were more innocent times, and I love those first early seasons. It was more about the girls and their lives and not so much about the drama, which I don't know, I liked, and that's what I fell in love with. But anyway, so Joe was on those first 2 seasons, and apparently her and Tamra have been talking a bit. So they're in the car together, and Tamra on her way to the party. You remember she told Heather she didn't know if she wanted to go because her lawyer said she's not supposed to be around Ryan and, well, specifically Ryan, but Ryan and Jen. So anyway, so she is headed there with Joe, and I gotta say, Joe looks great. So then Tamra brings up the feud between Joe and Gretchen, which I completely forgot about. So Joe actually in the first couple of seasons was dating Slade Smiley. Yeah, Slade has been through the gamut of housewife girls, to say the least. But anyway, she was dating Slade Smiley, and then I think they were still together, and Joe introduced Slade to Gretchen while they were still together. And then when Joe, I believe once they broke up, Joe and Slade, once they broke up, Gretchen started dating Slade, but still I think Joe had some like animosity towards that, like, hey, you kind of broke girl code, like you're dating my ex. So Joe didn't really like that. They throw up a screenshot of like some article saying that Joe is over what happened with Slade and Gretchen, but I don't know if you can ever really get over that. I'm really hoping that Gretchen and Joe kind of get into it this season. I don't know if Joe's like a friend of and she's going to be on the season more, but I really hope that her and Gretchen kind of get into it so they spill some tea on the situation. I would love that. So then they do a little montage of Joe and Tamara walking into the party together and holding hands. It's really cute. And as Tamara and Joe are walking into the party, they run into Katie, who's leaving with her husband. And so then Matt and Katie, so Katie's husband Matt and Katie, blame Tamra for all of this drama because not taking accountability again that Katie actually took the videos, but that Tamra brought it up at Katie's hot pot event and told all the girls. So again, not taking accountability. Joe and Tamara walk in, and Gretchen seems uncomfortable, obviously, from what went down. But yeah, Gretchen like makes mention of like, oh, that's a very Tamara thing to do, to bring Joe, Slade's ex, to this party. Emily and Gina talk a little bit of crap about Gretchen and says that she has dipped herself in formaldehyde and looks like a Barbie from 2003. Shady queens. Jen tells Heather and Terry at Heather's birthday party that Tamara kicks people when they're down, and then Heather sticks up for Tamara and says that she's like working on herself and trying to better herself. I don't understand why Heather's writing so hard for Tamara, but I appreciate the loyalty for sure. Gretchen and Slade then approach Joe in a very awkward and brief hello. Like, Gretchen runs up and hugs Joe, and Joe's kind of like, oh, okay, I don't know if I want this interaction, but that's all we see, which I'm dying for more tea. So then Heather makes a speech thanking everybody for coming to the party, and then they throw up a screenshot of how much the party actually costs, and it says $80,000 on the screen, but I thought when she was talking to Terry about how much it cost, she said it was like 3 or 4 times the Nobu party, which was $30,000, but apparently the party only cost $80,000, which is a crap ton of money still. So then Gina talks about how successful her and Travis have been in real estate the last couple of years that they've gotten into real estate together as they're setting up for this open house that they're doing. Ryan and Jen head to the dentist for Jen to get fitted for her new bottom veneers. Apparently she got top veneers. She's going to get bottom veneers. Tamara stops by Gina's open house and tells Gina that she is going to meet up with Jen to talk about things. Jen also tells Ryan that her and Tamara are going to meet up and says if they are going to move forward, they really need to get down to the meat of the issue of what happened. Otherwise, their relationship is never going to move forward, which is very clear. Heather is hiring Josh Flagg and Josh Altman. They are 2 real estate agents from $1 Million Listing Los Angeles, and they are big brokers. So they film a little scene of them like pulling up to Heather's like project house, and she basically says like she's going to list with them to sell this project house. So then Heather goes into how they lightly finished the house. So they put in flooring and painting, So it looks a lot better than it used to, make more money on the sale instead of selling it as like a shell of a house that was gross, basically. It looks good with the staging. Gretchen, Emily, and Shannon head to a silk hanging workout class. It's where like you have those like hanging silks and you like spin from them, which is very funny because Shannon is such a klutz. She ends up coming out a little bit late and of course like struggling with it. I just love Shannon, honestly. I just love her. Meanwhile, Katie meets up with Gina and Heather for lunch, and then we cut back to Gretchen and Emily and Shannon, and Gretchen talks about how she will never trust Tamara even if they have a sit down and try to clear the air, and Shannon basically says that she feels the same way about Katie. So they're basically both on the same page about different girls. Heather at their luncheon asked Katie if she met up with a blogger and asked her if she was giving the blogger information about the girls and basically the cast. Katie obviously denies it, and Heather says that none of the girls are really trusting Katie anymore because what she's saying and doing is not adding up. So then the Jen and Tamara dinner ensues. They both arrive to the restaurant together. It gets heated right away from the start, and both of them are basically telling each other why the other one hurt them, and of course neither one of them is listening. They're just kind of arguing and it's getting very heated. Jen actually in the argument does confirm that she did put in Tamara's extensions, which I'm like gagged and gooped over. She says it was a joke, but I'm like, okay, you're throwing yourself under the bus here. You actually did put in Tamara's extensions. So basically there's not much that happens. They're just rehashing everything that happened in the past, and Tamara eventually says she's over this and she gets up and walks out of the restaurant. And that is how the episode ends. I hope you enjoyed my recap. I will link down below a playlist to all the other episodes in this season, and hit that subscribe button to check out all of my other recaps for other shows, other Housewife franchises, all that type of thing. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will check you on the next one.